Trump's Secretary of Defense pick says women don't belong in combat. Is Trump's tariff gambit already working? And people are watching less news. But you won't abandon me, right? That and more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Stop me if you've heard this one about 40 times over in the last 3 weeks. President-elect Donald Trump nominated someone to a leadership position and the media is freaking out because the person doesn't have traditional qualifications and is being portrayed as a blind Trump loyalist who will radically transform the organization they're appointed to lead. This week, it's Kash Patel, who was chosen to lead the FBI. Patel has some people worried because he's vowed to reshape the bureau. So what dastardly plans does Patel have in mind for the FBI? Simple. Cutting back on surveillance and purging what he calls corrupt deep state operatives.
As like the guy who is an intel guy who believes wholeheartedly in the classified system of information, I believe that it has been over-abused by these corrupt officials in government to hide the truth and enact more corrupt activities.
Wait, he thinks there's corruption in the government? That's ridiculous. What's next? He's going to say that McDonald's sells French fries? Now, getting rid of corruption sounds like a good thing. So what's the issue? Well, according to the lamestream media, Patel is a QAnon defender whose problems go beyond just his incompetence and is being installed to use the FBI to get revenge on Trump's political opponents. Wow. Could you just imagine what it would be like if the law was weaponized to target political opponents? I mean, could you just imagine it? Where on earth would Trump get such an idea? According to an anonymous source cited by The Atlantic, even Trump described Patel by saying, "I think he's crazy, but sometimes you need a little crazy." Personally, I don't know what Trump's talking about. There's nothing about Patel that seems the least bit crazy. Nothing at all. Speaking of controversial nominations, Trump's Secretary of Defense nominee, Pete Hegseth, is facing allegations of alcohol abuse and sexual misconduct. Even some Republicans are skeptical about him. So now Trump's team is considering DeSantis for the position should Hegseth not have enough votes to be confirmed. Should DeSantis get the spot, it would be a historic cabinet, with Marco Rubio as the first Latino Secretary of State, Susie Wiles as the first female Chief of Staffs, and Ron DeSantis as the first meatball Secretary of Defense. And Hegseth may indeed have some trouble getting confirmed. He's said some pretty controversial things.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated. We've all served with women and they're great. It just, our institutions don't have to incentivize that in places where not traditionally, over human history, men in those positions are more capable.
Frankly, I think that's sexist and despicable. Women are just as capable as men of dying in needless wars for the military-industrial complex. Current Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin also disagrees.
I don't know what his experiences are, but I can tell you about my experiences with women in the military and women in combat, and they're pretty good.
Oh, only pretty good? Sounds like a misogynist to me. Meanwhile, former Defense Secretary William Cohen makes the point that it's not as if we're having Gladiator II types of confrontation. Gladiator II? Was that a paid promotion? Guess you gotta fund the military somehow. I mean, they've only got a budget of $850 billion. To be fair to Hegseth, he's not alone in his concern about female soldiers fighting on the front lines. The Army has reduced physical standards for women. But come on, have you seen Americans? Almost 4/5 of Americans are too fat, mentally ill, or on drugs to join the military. So the biggest threat to the U.S. isn't China or Russia, it's Big Pharma and Big Mac. And after the break, the UnitedHealthcare CEO assassination. Welcome back. UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson was fatally shot outside of a New York City hotel in what is being called a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack. Was this the first Maha hit? Well, some suspect the killer or someone who hired the killer may have been denied coverage. UnitedHealthcare has a disturbing track record of denying claims. At the time of this recording, a massive manhunt is still on for the killer, who wrote "deny, defend, and depose" on the bullet shell casings, possibly in reference to the book Delay, Deny, Defend, a book about the injustices of the insurance industry. And here I thought young people didn't read anymore. California Governor Gavin Newsom wants to, quote, Trump-proof California, and it's only going to cost taxpayers $25 million. I'm so tired. Newsom, who always looks like he's on his way to return some old videotapes, explained that this is a legal defense fund to block every Trump policy in California.
We know what happened the last time Donald Trump was president. He vandalized our progress. He vandalized our programs.
You mean like the program to build a $1.7 million toilet? Or the homeless high-rise that cost $600,000 per unit? Yes, Trump is California's problem. Speaking of left-wing leaders Trump isn't likely to get along with, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Trudeau and Trump dined together at Mar-a-Lago, where they reportedly discussed trade and tariffs. Trudeau said Trump's proposed tariffs would cripple the Canadian economy, to which Trump replied, if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S., maybe Canada could become the 51st state, with Trudeau as its governor. I'd be happy to have Alberta. As you can tell, Trump is dominating the news once again. Trump was great for primetime news ratings during his first term, so many thought that after a 4-year Biden slump, they'd get another Trump bump. The exact opposite is happening. Ratings are plummeting. It's almost like people don't care what primetime news has to say and would rather get their news from somewhat snarky YouTubers. But seriously, I can't imagine why people would want to tune out of news stations predicting doom and gloom daily for another 4 years. Even non-Trump news is so absurd, I can't even make jokes about it. Like this Stanford misinformation expert who got caught using AI to draft testimony containing misinformation about AI. This headline is a perfect self-contained joke. No notes. There's a reason Oxford Dictionary's word of the year for 2024 is brain rot. And before YouTube kicks you to a random video, check out the latest episode of my other show, Deep Thoughts While Gaming, where I explore controversial topics by hiding them in gaming content, so hopefully YouTube won't notice. This one's about Untitled Goose Game and demons. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.